Oh, well. All right. So.
I'm just letting you go because this is your thing.
All right. Okay, so I don't have to do the spiel since you know the spiel. So you finish making your indie game and you think you're done. One of the biggest pitfalls is that you put so much time, blood, sweat, and tears into your product that at the end you think that it's good enough to stand up against anything. That's fine. But releasing your product by itself and that be it is the biggest no-no you can do. You can never let your product speak for itself. I don't care. I mean, one of the great examples is the Ouya. Ouya had all this hype going on with the Kickstarter. I mean, they're getting, CNN. They're getting
what, 3.5 million?
No, it's 1.8 million. 1.8 million. They had tons of backers, and then they thought as soon as the Kickstarter thing was done, they just disappeared. Well, technically they didn't disappear. They just they posted information on their own website, their own Facebook page, their own Twitter feed, and their own Google Plus page. One problem: if you don't know about it, then you're not going to be at those. So you're not expanding your audience. You're keeping the audience that you have constant. So one of the things that a developer needs to understand is that you're never truly done with your game. And also the product that you're selling is not just the game, it's also you. You are, for better or for worse, part of the product. Now I've dealt with developers who are completely batshit crazy. And that's when you get a middleman to perhaps dumb down or sugarcoat some of the answers, because there are some individuals out there that when they spend so much time on a game, they think everyone should know how to do this or know that. One of the great examples that I've run into with indie games that I find quite disturbing is that they want to be unique. And the way they're unique is they decide to change up the control scheme. So instead of your usual WASD and like I for inventory and stuff, they flip things around.
X is no longer reload.
Yeah, exactly. So okay. This is one of the issues you have when you are creating a game. Even when you first changed up the whole thing, it took you a little bit of time to get used to. The problem is that the people that are going to be testing your game, probably like friends and family and all that stuff, they're going to get used to that too. So they're going to understand the controls. The problem is the consumer is going to have no freaking clue about the controls. So the old thing, keep it simple, stupid, definitely applies there. If you want to have something innovative or unique, make it gameplay related, like some new twist for a puzzle, or one of the games I just played, Whispering Willows. The puzzle aspect is you have this magical amulet that allows your spirit to come out of your body, and then the spirit can then possess like a lever to open up a locked door, or to push furniture around to unblock something. That is a cool mechanic. I have not readily seen that available. I mean, you've also got, oh my gosh, I think it was in, I can't remember what game it is, but there's a grappling gun where you can, shoot your little grapple beam and it grabs onto something and you can basically move it around.
Is that a story about my uncle?
No. The story about my uncle is also awesome. The other thing is, your game, in my opinion, you have to have that one thing that when a gamer puts in 30, 40 minutes, it hooks them. You've got to have that hook. Now, there are individuals out there who are independent developers who decide that 30, 40 minutes of game is enough for a full game. It better be free. And it better be episodic, and you better have like those episodes coming out like this. Speaking of episodic, there's a couple of ways to kind of combat overall cost. One of them is you do episodic content. That gives you the ability to focus on one specific chunk of you storyboard the entire story or game, and then you give it in small chunks. The benefit to that is that when people buy it, you're constantly got a money stream coming. So you're not having to build an entire game and then hoping you get it back. You're going to get it back in smaller chunks. Now, of course, the downside is, let's say the first couple chapters or the first chapter sucks balls, then no one's going to continue on. But one of the benefits of doing episodic games is, let's say it doesn't catch on, you can stop and you can move on to another project. Where if you're making a complete game, you're not going to know if it sucks until you actually release the whole thing. Another way that
Why is that? Why is there that trap that the developer and his testers, their testers didn't spot that it sucked? That's a gotcha for, I finished my game.
Right,
now what?
right. You would think that it would be easy to spot, but the thing is, when you get to the end, you've put so much time and money into it that you're hoping you get something back, even if it sucks. You're hoping that all that time and money and energy you put in has some return.
And you're at the point where addressing the issues is no-go because they're too big, too much time, too much money.
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
You definitely have you do have time and financial restraints that definitely come into the point where you're like, well, I'm just going to have to cut this one and cut this one off and just let it go free and hope that someone finds some redeeming value in it. A lot of independent developers have found that their first couple games don't actually get any traction, but it's a way of building up a library, a portfolio, so people can be when you have something that actually catches. You may see you may see the sales start to pick up for your older games, because if you've got a library of games, let's say you've made 5, the first 4 they didn't really get traction. That 5th one, a lot of luck is involved, but let's say someone like a Felicia Day or a Will Wheat goes, holy crap, this game's awesome, and then all of a sudden everyone's buying the 5th game and you're like, oh man, this game was good, what else have they done? And then it backtracks. That's something that a lot of independent developers need to understand. If your first game doesn't succeed, that doesn't mean you're a failure. Absolutely does not mean you're a failure. It means that you just have enough. You have a game to your name that if you wanted to go into the AAA titles or whatever, that you could utilize that as a springboard. Because the fact of the matter is, if you want to get into the game industry, you want to go into like an EA or an Activision or one of those development studios, though it's really unstable and there's a lot of turnover now, not like it was 10, 15 years ago, but they're looking in your portfolio for finished products, no longer concepts, no longer ideas. They want a finished product, because there are a lot of snake oil salesmen out there who can try to sell you on a dream, and right now money is so tight in those companies that they don't want to find out after you've been hired that you really are not as good as you made yourself out to be.
That's a classic thing on resumes.
Oh, absolutely.
I speak both Spanish and French.
No, we don't.
I don't. But people put those on the resume.
Absolutely.
To build
Part
things.
go. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. No, okay, so episodic
So proof that you can do something finished.
Yeah.
Lovely thing.
Absolutely. At the bare minimum, you have something that you can show off. Conventions are, of course, you've got to choose your conventions correctly. But if you choose the correct conventions, or hell, one of the great things out there is there is a lot of local chapters for the International Game Developers Association, IGDA. Bring your game there, because everyone there is in some shape or form, either looking to get into the industry or is in the industry, shares your same struggles as an indie developer, and 9 out of 10 guys are more than willing to give your game a test drive and give you some feedback about it. I mean that's free. I mean, yeah, I mean, sure, put gas in your car, blah 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 blah, but still that. And the thing is, the vast majority of those people know what they're talking about. You know, you can show it to someone on the street, and chances are they could try to tell you something you don't really understand what they're saying. But when you're dealing with a developer, chances are they know what they're talking about.
It's a lot of luck, but you improve your luck with persistence. Like last year we were here and our crowds were much larger, and I think it just happened to be that the audience might have been different last year and they were more willing to be here.
Yeah.
And this year we're back again and we got smaller audience, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be here next year because it's a persistence thing. Eventually we're going to grow and we grow our fan base. Honestly, I think we did better at our table this year than we did last year, but we didn't do as good with the panels. But it's a persistence thing. It's not going to stop us. People seem to know about us, and we're building a lot of traction, and it's that persistence that continues.
So another form, I don't want to say a much more dangerous form of releasing or developing a game, is of course the free to play. Now there are quite a few games out there that
are kind of free or free to play with microtransactions.
Free to play with microtransactions.
There you go.
Now, of course, you could go the free to play.
Yeah. That's the pure traction.
Right, absolutely. That's for pure traction, and you could. The danger with doing that first is that everyone's going to make the assumption that from now on it's going to be free. If you go free with microtransactions and then you go free and then then people are like, okay, well maybe I need to find out more about this game, but still we understand that some of them are going to be free, some are going to have free microtransactions. Now there's two different methods to doing microtransactions the correct. Well, okay, I'm leaving pay to win. Screw that. That's gone. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's two. I would say pay to enhance methods. One of them, it's unfortunate, but a lot of companies do this. They give you a free-to-play game, and then almost immediately they start smacking you upside the head saying, oh, microtransaction. Now, it's okay to make people aware that there's the potential of having microtransactions that might enhance your game or enhance the experience of the player. But there are also games out there that are free-to-play that, in my opinion, have done it right. You've invested 2-3 hours into the game. The vast majority of them are going to be puzzle-based games because puzzle-based games are addictive as hell. And then you start kind of pushing the microtransaction thing just a little bit harder. Case in point is a game for your iPhone called Scurvy Scallywags. It was made by Ron Gilbert, one of the guys behind Monkey Island. You're a pirate that's performing on a theater stage, but basically the entire game is about your adventures as the pirate. It's basically you're basically going through the story of a play, but every single level is like a puzzle level, and there's also these enemies that you have to deal with that if they get too close to, because you've got a character standing on the board as well. If it gets too close to your character, you haven't got enough attack gems. They will knock you down one life. Now, of course, and then I played a ton of that game, and I got really into it. And then, I was like, oh man, it's getting, I used up all my the free power-ups or something. I'm like, man, I could really use this one. And it's like, oh, well, we'll give you a pack of 5 or 10 for $1.99. All right, boom, $1.99, you got me. And then, of course, that's one for the consumer. One of the enhancements and pitfalls of microtransaction is that it enhances your gameplay, but once you've made that initial purchase, the floodgates have a very good chance of opening. And the next thing you know, you've made a ton of purchases.
Right.
Case in point for me is the Marvel Puzzle Quest game. It's free to play. You get, I think, you start off with the ability to hold up to 8 heroes and villains, and you're going to get all these heroes and villains right off the bat to add to your roster. And at any time, you can sell the villain or hero to free up a spot, but chances are you become attached to those heroes and villains because you've played with them and you've used their special power to defeat a certain puzzle or whatever. And so instead of, getting rid of one of the heroes that you like, you want to increase the roster size. And that's going to cost you like 200 hero coins, which is, of course, the in-game, out-of-game currency. So that's like $1.29 or maybe $2.99, and you do that. And then, once you've done that, and you're like, oh, then your roster size creeps up again. You're like, oh man, they've got like the Mohawk Storm. I have to have that one because they've also got a rarity rating on there. So of course you've got to get the rarer version of like Storm and Iron Man and all that stuff because their attacks also are stronger. So you do that, and then they also have like special hero packs that you can get where if you spend $10, you're assured this super special hero along with every other hero that would have been randomly selected for you.
Wow.
So, but that's you're once you've the thing is once you've invested, once the player has invested enough time in the game, they're willing to spend a little bit of money to continue that game because they enjoy it that much. And once they start spending, they'll continue to spend until they hit the end.
Or it's too expensive, or they can pick something else.
Right, absolutely. One of the things that Marvel Puzzle Quest has, they have a main storyline, and then they also have these limited time quests that you can do to unlock like a super special character. And that's
Smart.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. You're getting new content like almost every other day, and so that of course keeps the players in there. And then of course the other mechanic to keep you on your toes is that your heroes have hit points, so they will slowly regenerate over time. So you want to have a huge roster so that you can continue to play the game as much as possible, because you're going to have a lot of heroes that are either going to have to wait, I think it's like 15 minutes to resurrect, and then it's like 2 hours to fully heal because it's a level whatever. Money.
I've run into that. You gotta wait 2 hours for something to happen. That doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, I'm not a player that.
Right. No. I mean, okay. So.
But I'm just making an observation that
Right.
that's a mechanic for me that doesn't work.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, okay. So So let's go into social Facebook games. That is.
Well, I went back to step.
Yeah.
IP. So it's a Marvel super game.
Yep.
So I'm a developer and I borrowed some concepts that I finished with the game. I put it out there, and then I get a letter from a lawyer saying, "By the way, this is a little too close
Yeah.
to such and such.
Right.
My game development days aren't over. In fact, my legal battle days have just begun."
Right.
Can that happen even with the best of intentions? And how do you
Absolutely.
protect yourself or deal with that? If someone is jealously defending something they may or may not have actual rights to.
Right. Okay. So there's a couple ways to do it. The first way is it does cost a little bit of money up front, and Alter Confusion has done this as well. You form an LLC.
Okay.
So that your developer time is under the LLC, so that if someone were to come after you, they're coming after that LLC and no longer you, because holy crap. Maybe even for us, let's say that we write some scathing review and someone comes at us with lawyers. Well, they're gonna have to go through Alter Confusion. They can't come to me because it's an Alter Confusion thing. So yeah, okay. So an LLC that will protect you from them trying to take away all your stuff. Yes, there are those individuals out there who are legal sharks. I mean, literally just circle the water, try to find something to spook you about.
And then you get into copyrighted stuff. As an independent developer, I could do something that really neat on my own, da-da-da. I could create the radio at the same time this one guy does.
Right.
And I'm in big copyright trouble. How do you independent? So I just finished my game, I'm in the clear. No, I accidentally used a copyright thing.
Right.
How do you do that?
Really, it's got to be self-vigilance. I mean, you got to keep an eye out. One of the
Are there resources to figure out what is thoroughly copyrighted? Don't they go near this concept? Like microtransactions, I would wonder who's got the copyright for that. Obviously, no one person does because everyone does it.
Right.
But Amazon's got one-click buy. I think.
Right. Yeah, one-click buy. Yeah.
So obviously, I can't call it one-click buy or Amazon.
Right. Absolutely. It really depends. A lot of developers and publishers, as long as you aren't blatantly ripping off a huge chunk of it, if there's similarities to it, you might get your random dude trying to come after you. But then, of course, you've got those individuals like the company's called King. They made Candy Crush Saga. They tried to go after everyone who had Candy Crush or Saga in their title, saying that they copyrighted this and that they own the rights to all three words separately.
Oh my God. Wow.
You can go through the Copyright Office to see what has and has not been copyrighted, because you have to go through the legal forms to prove you copyrighted something, or that you own the rights to this word. People do it all the time. And one of the things that you can prove in court is whether you had the intention to copyright it or not. You can just say, whoops, I made a mistake, and not thinking about it. But if there are like documents or proof to say you purposely, intentionally copyrighted, you're dead in the water. But if you can say, whoops, then you can probably back off of that. But once again, that's a huge monetary fund to go through the legal process to show that you didn't do it on purpose.
And to be honest with you, there are some true dirtbags out there who are trying to catch you uninformed and then try to entice you by saying, we'll take a settlement. Because they don't actually have any legal grounds as well, but they hit you so hard and fast that you may just accidentally go, well, okay, fine, here's the money.
It's actually funny you bring that up, because currently in the news there are two cases of not necessarily copyright infringement, but of personality infringement, where in Grand Theft Auto 5 there's a character whose name is like Ramona Star or something like that, and Lindsay Lohan says this is a complete knockoff.
It's a blatant rip off of my likeness and my actions
and my clothing line and all those things, and so she's suing Rockstar for that. And right now, Manuel Noriega, the former Panamanian dictator, is suing who makes Black Ops.
Yeah.
Who makes that? Is it Activision?
I think it's Activision.
He's suing Activision for personal defamation of his character, because he's in there as a likeness, as you have to go kill Manuel Noriega, and it's a personal defamation of his character. Not being a Panamanian dictator, being proven in court that you were a dictator and you caused war crimes was not a defamation of his character, but being in this video game.
But isn't that's borderline public character?
Right.
It's
a public figure.
It's a
public
public
figure.
figure.
Authors have some right to put public figures in their material.
There's I don't know if it's there's an understanding that once you become a public figure, you are. What's the ruling? Because
You're a known quantity or something? Or
they're able to basically do what they want.
I've got the AP rule book, and it has a whole section about how far what makes you a public figure, and it can be pretty little.
Oh yeah.
If you, as an individual, have a public voice in a public event, you become a public figure for the AP.
And that's where a lot of the suing comes from, is people who don't even have any right to sue might sue a company saying, you did this, this, and this, and that's where they're just more looking for money out of you than necessarily looking for anything. And really, your legal options are you can fight it or you can just back off from it.
when you created a lot of IP, and I got to give the developers a lot of credit for the music and the art.
Right.
Oh my gosh, to make a pretty game, that's a lot of work.
It is.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. Gone are the days, the old days of just make some sprites and move around the screen.
Actually,
Although I think they're back.
they are coming back. The thing is, we've gone so photorealistic, and people are getting kind of, ironically, they're getting tired of seeing people look like people.
Yeah.
They want to go back to, I can distinguish myself from the characters in the game. There's a huge push for like 16-bit or 32-bit looking games, especially with the rebirth of the point-click adventures. I mean, that of course is one of the easier genres for an indie developer to create, because it's strictly point A to point B. There's only one way to solve the puzzle. Sure, you run up against some people who skip ahead to one section and get a little frustrated because they see there's a hole in the wall that's a little too high, and they see there's a dumpster on the side of the screen. So for looking at that hole in the wall, they try to interact with the dumpster. Well, the trigger that's been set for the hole in the wall hasn't been thrown yet, so the dumpster, your character goes, "Ooh, that's gross. Why would I want to mess with the dumpster?" Then you look at the hole and go, "Oh man, it's too high." Then you go back to the dumpster and it's like, "Oh man, I can use this." I'm like, "Yes, the whole time, yes. Just push it there. Skip a step." But yeah, the graphics, I don't think, if you can make it look pretty or basically make it fit the game, I think that you're okay. You don't have to have the prettiest of graphics, as long as it fits the feel of the game. Now the music, on the other hand, that is another whole.
Yeah, that's right. Well, my concern or question is, so I've got IP. I worked really hard on it. I paid people. I paid the musicians money to make the music.
Yep.
When I publish the game, here we go. When I publish the game, it's automatically copyrighted. So that if someone rips off my music, rips off my artwork, they're smart enough to go into the source code and find my graphic files, yank them out. Is it just enough that I publish the game that I own the copyright? Or are there other steps that I just published the game?
Okay, well, one of the steps that, if you form the LLC, once you have that stamp on the game, and then it comes out to make a public awareness, the vast majority of the time, because once there's a public record that you have put this up for sale, or made your first sale, or made it available for sale, if someone were to then, within, anytime afterwards, you could go after them, because it really comes down to a proven timeline. If you can prove that you were there first, or you had that stuff first, then you are in the right to do, to protect your assets within the game.
So part of the I just published the game thing is to have a clear timeline of when what happened.
Yes.
In my photography, I always keep the originals of my photos, so I can prove that, yeah, it may have been Photoshop here down the line, but here's the original.
Right.
And you could not have done it because I've got the original.
I'm sure if you go to an actual publisher, they would tell you that you might want to go copyright certain aspects of it, especially if you have likenesses in there or things like that you would think people might use. They might tell you to copyright that ahead of time, go to the copyright office, get the paperwork, go through. But in most times, once it's out there and you can prove timeline, you can usually get it. But it's always tough, because there might be somebody who did it before you may never have heard of, who did something like that, who then it's just one of those things, Alexander Graham Bell versus Elijah Gray. Bell just made it to the patent office first, or Edison versus Tesla. They were doing things at the same time.
Right.
They might have heard of each other, they might have been even collaborating, but it's just who got there first in the end. And so it runs on one of those. My bigger thing is, sometimes you think you've got these games and it looks pretty and beautiful and you want to copyright it, and then no one wants it. Because really what you have is beautiful to you and beautiful to your friends and beautiful family, but you're not marketing it well out to people, and it's like, that's not so pretty.
Yeah.
I'm much more on the marketing side of things. Like, I like to find things that look appealing to people, and as photography, that's what you do, right? You might think of looking beautiful and everything, and it's difficult though. Like the photography down there of all the women in their outfits, to me, I'm like, that doesn't do it for me, but for a lot of people, especially for this kind of convention, it's knowing your audience. That's where you're at.
Photography related to what you're saying. Yeah, a picture I think is wonderful and great. People may say, oh, whatever, that's nice. But the picture I'm thinking is really mundane. People love it, like, oh my gosh. And it can have to do with the person who's in the picture. It can have to do with the stuff that's behind them.
The lighting.
The lighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or it gets seen in the right place. Facebook. It gets put on the right person's page. All their friends are saying, like. And I'm saying, hey, what about this one over here? This one's really pretty too.
And it's the same with
They're
video
just ignoring
games.
it.
It's you put it out there, and hopefully you get that like, but you have to know the audience that you're trying to appeal to, because as you say, we're brave for coming here, but we know the audience is here. It's just whether the audience can actually get to us or not. I mean, and we do lots of these things. We're promoting SiegeCon here, and Siege is a big development conference, and a lot of people have picked up their cards and said, oh, that's really cool, that's something we're interested in, but yet they're not here for our panel to hear more about it or talk to us about it or do things like that, because they come and they go, they move on. It's about knowing the audience, and honestly, we still have the audience, we just don't know it.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so one of the if you want to go the ultra confusion route of just showing up and doing your spiel and stuff, you have, and this is unfortunately one of our downfalls, is that when you've got people on the hook, when they're interested in your game, you need someone updating your website with new information or talking about the fact that you're at MonsterCon. We have not done that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is another question I had earlier. So, I've set up my wonderful game with its microtransactions, and then I get busy. And so how sustaining the game after its release, maintaining a relationship with the microtransaction company, updating it for operating system releases on iOS and Android. That's an ongoing thing.
Absolutely. Right.
And then you can lose reputation. You talk about all you got yourself, you got your reputation.
Yep.
If you don't update it and it breaks because you didn't update from the latest iOS or latest Android,
Right.
that's egg in your face.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're kind of married to the game.
It
Yeah, I
becomes a
released it
job.
out into the world. No, you're kind of married to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Good, bad, or ugly.
Right. You at some point, I mean, you're not going to be able to sustain. It's going to be at some point. The sustainability is not going to be
Sure,
worth.
at some point.
Right. Right.
PC games, you have to have an emulator now.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
DOS.
Yeah, I know. I played Mind Magic 3, Isles of Terra.
Well, I was talking. The gaming guys down here have a board topic Ogre, and I was saying I remember when Ogre was a PC game, and she's saying, yeah, you need an emulator to play it now.
Yeah. The best way to try to keep up with it. First of all, microtransactions. I would immediately have use like Amazon or PayPal and have them. They'll skim a little off the top, but they'll keep that up and running for you, and then they'll give you notifications about how it's progressing and whatever. As for like fixes and stuff, you have to have a good support structure in place where when individuals do find something broken, you're immediately alerted of it, and also have it so that this is a program in itself, but basically have something that feeds in the exact issue and then you can kind of spreadsheet it out to see, okay, what's the biggest issue? Right, exactly.
Yes,
so that you can focus on doing that. And then, it's, yes, you become married to it, and maybe you're working on your next project, but of course you want to keep the consumers that are utilizing your software now happy. It becomes all about scheduling of time. I mean, once those bugs start rolling in, you've got to be flexible with your time. For me, I work 9 to 5. I come home, hang out with my wife and my son until my son goes to sleep, and my wife and I hang out a little bit, and then from about 8:30, 9 o'clock until I fall asleep, I'm doing all the computer stuff.
That's a good schedule and target. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's so. But the thing is, you have to be flexible because there's going to be times where what you have scheduled out for your next project just ain't going to work because you've got to put the presence of the product that's already making you money. You've got to make sure that it continues to make you money. Now, of course, like we said, there is a time where you basically say, all right, that's it for this product. If there's something humongous, maybe I'll touch it. But
you might do that on an operating system update where you say, no, I'm not going to support it past this, and everyone moves on and it's done.
That's where I think the legal issue though comes in. About what point can you cut it off if people put so much money into your game? And I think one of the things you might start seeing though is when people do that, is they'll say, okay, you put this much money into a game, I'm making this new game, we can roll some of that money over into this new
and have
game.
people done that?
I don't know. That's just my idea.
Well, what some indie developers have done is that they will give you a small discount.
Okay.
If you have a previous product of yours, they'll give you like a 10% coupon or something, just to thank you for continuing to support their game. Or they might. If you were early enough adopter, they might actually shave a lot of it off. There have been games where I have signed on early on in the process, and then they did like a major overhaul, and the vast majority of people are going to have to pay full price for that major overhaul. But since I was an early adopter, here it is. Here's the extra code, or here's the download link, and you get it for free. Yeah, the customer comes first once your product's out.
And lastly, reputation. One of the things that when I'm looking at games and utilities for my phone, if I see a bunch of reviews that say this is broken, this doesn't work, fair or unfair, if there's enough of them on there,
absolutely,
I'm not going to give them any money at all.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And some of them are unfair, some of them might get complaining.
Yep.
So it's a battle after you release the game to keep those down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the unfortunate thing is I like the fact that when you go to like in the App Store or to Steam or wherever, Amazon, they've got the product reviews right there. That's nice. But at the same time, for me personally, I may want to go a step further and check off that site.
Sure. Oh, that's smart.
But the unfortunate thing is a lot of people make their decisions solely on the reviews that are right there because, I hate to say this, but people are lazy. If they can't immediately, instantly find stuff.
And they may want, like, I want something like Civilization. Here's free sword, here's Civ, light, here's blah, blah, blah. I'm going to pick, it's not that I'm lazy, I just want a Civ-like game, and I want to get one that works and has the least negative reviews.
Right.
I don't want to go look at the website for each and every one of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So, just to defend the lazy people.
Speaking of Civ, you heard about the new one coming out?
Vaguely, yeah, I think I saw
It looks cool. Just saying.
one of my favorite games on the DS is Civilization Revolution. I play that for hours.
I burned out my iPad, my iPod Touch so many times because I would just be constantly playing it, and my battery just went.
Well, I do a lot of sitting in my chair watching TV. I look for my power.
Yep.
I like the strategy aspect of it.
Yep.
I mean, reputation-wise, that's when you come back to being married to your game. You just have to always be working at it. Because if you get a reputation of, oh, he saw the bug, he then went and fixed it off of my critique, people take you as a trustworthy human being.
No,
When I do that at work, I develop for my employer, and I tell the guys, my customers, tell me about a bug, 'cause I will fix it as soon as I can.
Absolutely.
It might be the ugliest bug in the world. I might have added a feature, added a bug, but I'll fix it.
Right. Right. He's right. I mean, if you can show at least some, you don't have to do like an instant fix, but if you show some kind of initiative towards the consumer, oh my gosh, this is broken, and then within an hour they get an email going, thank you, a personalized letter, not a form. Thank you for submitting your bug. Your bug number is da 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 da. Someone will be in contact with you, and blah 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 blah. If you personalize it and go, thank you for bringing this up. This does look like, this indeed looks like a real bug. I'll send it to development because I'm customer support. It's my real job. So if you put that, you put that personal stamp, you show the initiative that basically when people submit issues, they want to feel important, and when they get a response of any type, even if it's not the response they're looking for, but if they get a response, holy crap, you made their day. Then they're like, oh man, this person is going to help me with what I need help with. There are Ouya is another example of how to do it wrong. You throw it down a rabbit hole, you might get a response back in 48 hours just to say, yeah, we got your ticket, we'll be with you shortly.
Oh, they could automate that part at least.
Oh, absolutely, but that comes off as we don't really give a shit. Like, well, you could
even automate it for you.
Right.
This thing that looks good so late.
The only
Got a brief announcement for everybody. If you were thinking about getting a t-shirt for the MonsterCon 2014 t-shirts, there are exactly 19 of those left. Once they're gone for good. They are available until they sell out at the front check-in.
One of the problems with the reviews and stuff is usually not a lot of people go back and amend the review. So you still have to hope that there's not too much trash in that review section, because someone could say, "Oh my God, it's broken! I can't believe this," and then they also send a support ticket, and shortly after they submit that review, you come back to them and say, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. Let me fix it for you." And they're like, "Oh man, you guys are awesome." Chances are they're not going to come back. Unfortunately, there's very few people that'll actually come back and change their review once they.
And that's where the customer service aspect comes in.
Right.
I'm glad we helped you fix this. Could you go on and put a review that matches our actions?
Right. But you got to phrase it in such a way that it doesn't sound like you're like, well, you think we fixed it, so you fix your shit, okay?
Right.
And this bugs the crap out of me, but I understand that there's some people out there who like to do the pity tactic with their game. Well, I put my heart and soul into it, and my family was really behind me, and we just don't have that much money now because it's just not doing well, but it's an awesome game. But you think it's an awesome game? Would you want to buy this? Could you buy it? Like, dude, seriously, let the game speak for itself. At that point, let the game speak for itself. Don't tell me your life story. Tell me why I should buy this game because of what's in the game, not because I put everything I had in this game and I don't know if I'll survive.
Once again, they're selling themselves, and they're not doing a good job of it. They're not letting the game speak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big part of it. That's honestly, I'm not very good on the website But I love being here because I love being able to sell the website. Like, I think it's a great website and it stands for itself. And when I can talk about it, I think that is where it is. Charlie will disagree with me because he's like, you need to write more though. He is correct. But I love being here. I love talking to people. And it's part of it. We do a great job of selling the website. We know that it stands for itself, but we know how to sell it. We're not like, I'm a special ed teacher and I just don't have the time, but I do what I can. Like, no one cares that I'm a special ed teacher. They want to know what the website's going to do, and I know how to talk about it.
And they know that anything that's on the, and I've been preaching this forever, but anything that's on the website, it's the God honest truth out of our mouths. And yes, we could be biased about certain things.
I'm sure we are biased about things. Not just that we could be, we are, because we're human beings. It's part of it.
Yeah, like my stance on all the Sony products after the PlayStation 2 is definitely biased.
But one of the things about being biased is you have to explain why you're being biased.
Yes, absolutely.
And
It's all about being
do a good
constructive.
job about it.
Well, I do blogging also, and I'm getting a decent reputation in it because I say things, but I do my best to back it up.
Right, absolutely.
Well, I may say something kind of controversial, but let me tell you the rest of the story.
Right, absolutely. There's from our point of view, if I actually had this question asked to me from a gentleman who was at our panel yesterday, and he came up to me afterwards. He said, "So how would you start something like what you guys started?" My best advice is be honest and and it's quality over quantity, and don't just regurgitate, what you see on other sites, which is another thing. Do not make the 37th version of Flappy Birds or Angry Birds. Be original.
But I was going to do mine with turkeys. Or goldfish. That's it, goldfish.
What was it? Angry Birds had a terrible clone called, it was like Threatening Pigeons or something. It's like...
But see, the thing is, with Angry Birds, the idea of throwing something into something else to knock it down is an old idea. It was around before Angry Birds, it's going to be around about after Angry Birds. Now you've got to take it and put your own spin on it. Why does this work better, or why is this different? I mean, it's not...
And in the end, it's a puzzle game. And so do your puzzles stand up on their own?
Absolutely, right.
Or did you screen by screen copy all the Angry Bird puzzles? Shame on you. Not that anybody's done it.
Sure, they won't do it.
No one's done that. No, but it's part of it is it might just be you like that game so much that you wanted to show your own spin to it, but make it so that it's yours, not that it's my. I know that people are going to be dumb enough to think that my logo looks kind of like the other logo, so they're going to buy my game instead. Or they have a slightly different name to the game. That's the problem with app stores.
Well, and this comes before you release your game, but there's some developers that just like a challenge.
Yeah.
And they don't have all the common sense in the world about copying stuff. Oh, I copied stuff. But it was for the challenge of doing it.
Right, absolutely.
And, oh well, this little hand slap.
Sometimes it's a little hand slap, sometimes it's a full body slam into the wall.
Good try.
Yeah.
I hope you had fun.
We're about to be interrupted at the microphone again.
All right.
It looks like they're grabbing it to talk.
Cool. If you have any, if you ever have any questions or whatever, just hit us up on the website. The emails go straight to me.
His customer service is terrible, though.
My customer service is amazing.